house in America for less than $10,000? It sounds fake, but it's very real. Imagine scrolling through Zillow and finding a house for the price of a vacation, or even less than your monthly rent. Sounds like a scam, right? But across the United States, there are towns where property is so cheap, it almost feels unreal. Of course, there's always a reason. Sometimes it's crime, sometimes it's a collapsing economy, and sometimes it's something far stranger, like abandoned tunnels, ghost towns, or legends that refuse to die. These aren't just random listings. They're real towns with real people, and in some cases, real mysteries. From cities trying to claw their way back to life, to places where silence feels more unsettling than peaceful, here are 10 US towns where home prices are so low you'll think it's a scam. Flint, Michigan. This is one of those places where house prices are so low, you almost expect someone to tell you it's a joke. For around $45,000, you can own a full-sized home, sometimes cheaper than the car parked in its driveway. But Flint's affordability comes with baggage. The city is infamous for its water crisis and economic decline after auto manufacturing jobs disappeared. Crime rates are high, and unemployment has been a challenge for decades. Still, the community here is tough. Rent averages under $800. The cost of living is more than 20% below the national average. And locals keep their traditions alive with food, music, and fireworks that light up entire neighborhoods in the summer. Flint isn't for the faint of heart. It's gritty, unpredictable, and often tough to live in. But for those who stay, it's home, and one of the cheapest housing markets in America. McAllen, Texas. Down near the Mexican border is McAllen, a city where homes cost as little as $25,000, a price that barely buys a used car in most states. The numbers are tempting. Cost of living is about 20% below the national average, rent averages under $900, and property taxes are among the lowest in Texas. Add a relatively low unemployment rate, and McAllen looks like a bargain on paper. But life here comes with extremes. The summers are brutally hot, hitting triple digits for weeks on end, and the mosquitoes feel like a full-time army. The city is also at the center of political debates, making it a complicated place to live. Still, the culture is vibrant, the food scene is unbeatable, and the community is welcoming. If you can handle the heat and the chaos, McAllen might be one of the cheapest housing markets worth considering. Detroit, Michigan. Detroit might be the most famous example of cheap real estate in America. Once the proud Motor City, decades of decline left entire neighborhoods abandoned. Today, some houses sell for under $10,000, less than a year's rent in many other cities. The cost of living is slightly below average, but the challenges are clear. Crime rates are among the nation's highest, and infrastructure struggles are visible everywhere. Some blocks look more like open land than residential neighborhoods, and yet Detroit is slowly rebuilding. Ford has returned, startups are moving in, and a creative scene is breathing life back into parts of the city. For some, buying here is an opportunity to join a comeback story. For others, it's too risky. Detroit is affordable, yes, but it's also unpredictable, a gamble between being part of a revival or being left with an empty property in a city still fighting for its future. Greenville, Mississippi. In Greenville, houses can cost less than $80,000, with rent often below $700. It's one of the cheapest places to live in the South, but affordability isn't the whole story. This is the Delta, the birthplace of the blues. It's a place of Southern charm, neighbors waving from porches, and music that never really stops. But Greenville also struggles with high crime, limited jobs, and poverty that keeps many families stuck. Then there's the environment. Humidity is constant, storms are frequent, and mosquitoes here are legendary. Locals joke they're strong enough to carry off your dinner. Greenville has its challenges, but also an undeniable soul. If you want cheap housing and don't mind the chaos that comes with it, this Delta town offers both charm and unpredictability in equal measure. If you're enjoying this countdown so far, make sure to hit that like button. It tells the algorithm this video is worth sharing. And don't forget to subscribe if you want more deep dives into America's strangest housing markets. Kansas City, Missouri. Kansas City is known for barbecue and jazz, but on its east side, homes sell for as little as $40,000, making it one of the cheapest big city housing markets in the country. The trade-offs are serious: higher crime rates, unemployment above average, and neighborhoods with homes that need major repairs. Infrastructure struggles too. Roads, sidewalks, and utilities can feel decades behind. But not all of Kansas City is stuck. Investors, artists, and developers are slowly transforming forgotten areas into creative hubs. That means cheap houses today could become prime property tomorrow, if you're willing to take the risk. Kansas City is a city of contradictions. One block feels peaceful and family-friendly. The next looks abandoned. For buyers with vision, it's an opportunity. For others, it's a warning sign. Moonville, Ohio. Moonville isn't a town anymore. It's a ghost story. Hidden in Ohio's forests, it was once a mining settlement, but today all that remains is the Moonville Tunnel and a graveyard surrounded by legends. Locals say several ghosts haunt the tunnel, from lantern-carrying railroad workers to spirits that smell of lavender. No houses remain, but land nearby is cheap, sometimes just $1,500 an acre. For anyone who dreams of an off-grid cabin, it's an attractive deal. But privacy here comes with eerie silence, no services, and stories of phantom lights flickering through the woods. Moonville isn't just about land. It's about whether you dare to live where the supernatural feels just a little too real. Pere Cheney, Michigan. Pere Cheney was once a booming lumber town, but today it's nothing but ruins and a graveyard. Fires, disease, and a supposed curse drove away every last resident. The population is now zero, and land goes for under $1,000 an acre. It's cheap, but the legends make it clear why almost no one wants to settle here. Stories claim a woman accused of witchcraft cursed the town, unleashing the disease that wiped out families. Hikers report glowing orbs over the cemetery and whispers in the wind. For buyers, Pere Cheney offers seclusion and dirt-cheap land. But living here means more than being alone. It means sharing space with stories people have been too scared to forget. Portlock, Alaska. Portlock hasn't had residents since the 1950s. The reason? Locals fled after years of mysterious disappearances and terrifying screams in the woods. The surrounding land is available for as low as $1,000 an acre. But there's a catch. It's completely isolated. No stores, no services, and no cell signal. Just wilderness, fog, and the unsettling legends of a creature that drove people away. Even without the myths, Portlock would be extreme. Months of darkness in winter, endless daylight in summer, and survival conditions every day. Buying here isn't just cheap, it's a dare. The land is real, but the question is whether you'd last long enough to enjoy it. Govan, Washington. Govan is almost a ghost town, with just a handful of residents left. Entire lots here have sold for under $5,000, and at one point, the whole town was listed for less than a used car. But the history is darker than the price is cheap. In the early 1900s, the town's judge and his wife were murdered, followed by another family decades later. The eerie, collapsing schoolhouse still stands, adding to the haunted atmosphere. Living here means total isolation. Groceries are a long drive away, and services are non-existent. By day, it's silent. By night, it's unsettling. Govan may be affordable, but it feels like you're buying into a ghost story instead of a community. Bula, Pennsylvania. Bula was founded in the 1800s as a spiritual utopia, but it failed. Today, it's nothing but ruins, a cemetery, and stories that refuse to fade. The land is nearly worthless in price, sometimes sold for a few $100s or even given away. But while it's cheap, it comes with an aura of mystery. Visitors claim to see glowing orbs above graves, hear voices, and feel an atmosphere that's more cursed than calm. Living here would mean complete seclusion, no neighbors and no services. For some, that's paradise. For others, it's a nightmare. Bula is proof that sometimes free land still costs more than you're willing to pay. So there you have it, 10 US towns where houses and land are so cheap, you'll wonder what the catch is. From cities fighting to rebuild to ghost towns nobody dares to reclaim. These places prove that the price of real estate isn't always measured in dollars. The question is, would you take the deal? Would you move for dirt-cheap housing, even if it meant living with crime, chaos, or ghost stories that never end? If you enjoyed this video, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. There's plenty more where this came from, and the next list might be even stranger.